Before watching the video, don't forget to subscribe the channel and enable bell notification to never miss an update from us.
Hello everyone, good morning. This is Ashima and this is a section of current affairs in which we talk about daily news events. And this section is designed to help you enhance your knowledge about the news events and understand what the news event is about, help you in making your notes for current affairs and picking out all the factual information. But for those who want to practice the questions alongside, for all of them we have everyday quiz which happens on Entri app. So you can download the app from Google Play Store. It's by the name Entri. So Entri app is there on Google Play Store. You can download that, and once you download and do the registration process, you get everyday free quiz. This quiz is free, so you can take it every day. We have 10 to 15 questions depending upon the number of questions formed, and this will help you in keeping in touch with the news events as to how much you recall the news event, right? So that is about the Entri app where you can practice, but this is a segment of daily news events. So let's have a look at what we have for today. The first news event is a floating solar energy project. Right, so this project has recently been announced. What is this project? Where is it going to be launched? Let's have a look at that. It is going to be built on Omkareshwar Dam. Now, Omkareshwar Dam is built on Narmada River and it is in MP. Right, so in MP we have Omkareshwar Dam which is present on Narmada River, and on this dam there is going to be this floating solar power plant that is going to be established. Now this solar power plant is more important because of the fact that this is going to be the largest floating solar power project of the world. So it is going to be world's largest floating solar power plant, right? And what is the capacity of it? Its capacity is going to be 600 megawatts. Now, when is it going to begin the functioning? It is going to begin the functioning by 2022 or 23. Right now, the construction is going on. And what is the estimated cost? As of now, we have an estimation of about 3,000 crore of rupees as the you can say amount required for the project, or the finance. So, who is going to finance this now? For the 3,000 crores that we are stating we require for this project, the financing is going to come from International Finance Corporation and World Bank. Both of them are going to help build this project. Now, when we talk about floating power plants, we all have a bit of an idea about it, that the solar panels are installed on the backwaters of any dam or a reservoir. On the surface it is installed, and all these solar, or you can say the rays which form, or the sunlight which forms, because of that electricity is formed out of those panels. Right? That is how it functions. And how is it beneficial? We all know about the benefits also. That is that first of all, it helps prevent the evaporation of water because the water is covered now, and second of all the sunlight that is going to come, that is being utilized for energy purposes, right? But what are the types of solar power plants that can be there? So basically we have two types of solar power plants. One is a floating photovoltaic solar power plant in which the panel itself is set up on the waters, right? So that is the type where the panels which we see, the blue panels which we see, those panels are set up and direct, you can say direct generation of energy takes place, right? So a floating platform is set up, first of all, not directly on water, otherwise the whole water is going to be electrified. So not directly on water, platform is set up. On the platform, we have that set up, right? The second form is concentrated solar power system. How does this work? This is where glass, or you can say mirrors are placed on the waters. Rather than the panel, we set up mirrors at a certain angle, right? So angled mirrors are set up, and what do these mirrors do? They will reflect the light which is falling on them, and this reflection will be centered towards a particular tower where the panels are set up. So panels are not directly set up on the reservoir, they are set up on a tower where the sunlight is coming via reflection of these mirrors. So then that sunlight which is coming up, that is directed to creation of energy, right? So there are two types of floating solar power plants that can be established. Next is a statement on climate of India during 2020, and this report has been released by Indian Meteorological Department recently. So what does this report state? IMD or Indian Meteorological Department has released this report. There were various findings in this report, but what are the major findings that we have seen in this report? Let's have a look at the major findings. So first of all, it was one of the warmest years. So among the warmest years of the count, it was the 8th warmest year since 1901. That is, since we have started maintaining the record. So since 1901, we have started maintaining record. Out of that, the 8th warmest year was 2020. Now, average land surface air temperature in 2020 was 0.29 degrees centigrade above normal. Right, and similarly, mean temperature during winters was 0.140 degree above normal. So we can say that above normal temperature is being raised, or we can say that warming of the surface is taking place comparatively. There were lots of thunderstorms and lightnings also which were seen, and the hardest hit states during these adverse weathers, which were the hardest hit states, were UP and Bihar. Right, because of huge amount of cold wave, lightning, thunderstorms. Right, so these two states faced a lot of turmoil because of it. And there were 5 cyclones which were formed in the North Indian Ocean region in 2020. Now, these are the 5 storms that you can see: Amphan, Burevi, Nisarga, Nivar, and Gati. Out of these, 2 were in Arabian Sea, the 3 were in Bay of Bengal. So Nisarga and Gati, as you see over here, Nisarga and Gati, both of them were formed in Arabian Sea, and the rest 3 were formed in Bay of Bengal, the major cyclones which had hit the coasts of India. Now, there can be certain static questions that can be asked, like, which ministry operates IMD? So it is under Ministry of Earth Science. How many regional offices are there of IMD? We have 6 regional offices of IMD. So these are a few things that you need to know about. And third thing, which regions are monitored by IMD? So we have seen the North Indian region. So what areas or what waters come under North Indian Ocean region? That includes Malacca Straits, Arabian Sea, Bay of Bengal, and Persian Gulf. These are the 4 places or 4 water bodies that come under the North Indian Ocean. Right, which are governed or which are under the surveillance of IMD. Now, a draft of Arctic policy of India has been created recently. So, recently we have seen about Antarctica. Like yesterday we had talked about Antarctica, how India is releasing its 40th expedition. Now, there is about Arctic also. So, in Arctic we are releasing a new policy. What is that policy about? What does it have? And how are we a part of Arctic Council? So, India became an observer of Arctic Council in 2013. And in 2018, we got it renewed for another 5 years, right? So we are currently an observer of Arctic Council. We're not a permanent member. We are an observer of Arctic Council as of now, right? So now what is there? What have they done over here? So first of all, National Center for Polar and Ocean Research, that is in Goa. We had talked about it yesterday when 40th expedition was released. So it is in Goa, which operates in the Ministry of Earth Sciences. It will serve as the nodal agency for the implementation of Arctic policy, which is going to be created. And this policy is going to be made keeping in mind that we can carry out the research processes. We abide by the council regulations, Arctic Council regulation, that is no military purpose being done over there, right? And becoming a part of international commerce business, becoming or promoting traditional indigenous knowledge that we have about it, right? Now, India has signed the Svalbard Treaty in Paris. Now, what is this treaty? This treaty is the one which gives free access to Arctic region, but according to this treaty, we cannot militarize the area, we cannot deploy Indian army in the area. Or basically, whoever has signed this treaty, they cannot deploy military personnel over there. Right? Now, when was the first expedition for Arctic launched by India? That was in 2007. So in 2007, we launched the first expedition towards Arctic region. In 2008, we established a research base over there, which was called as a Himadri, and that is in Svalbard, Norway. So in Himadri, we have a research station. This was the first research station of Indian Arctic region. Then in 2014, we deployed INDARC, and in 2016, there was a laboratory by the name Group Bed Atmospheric Laboratory, right? and all these 2016 and 2008 one, that is Himadri and Globet, both of them are in Savalbhar, right? Now, Arctic policy is synchronized with Goal 11 of Sustainable Development Goals. What is Goal 11 of Sustainable Development Goals? That is sustainable cities and communities. Right? Next, we have National Atomic Time Scale. Now, I had given you a hint about it in the council which was going to be held recently of CSIR, and in that the Prime Minister had unveiled a National Atomic Time Scale. So what exactly is this? How is it a defining phase for India? First of all, what is atomic time? Atomic time is what gives us the exact speed at which the clock should tick. That is how much seconds are there, how much time does a second have to take. That is done via atomic time, right? And atomic clocks are used for finding the actual length of a second. Now, how long can an atomic clock work? An atomic clock deviates by 1 second in about 100 million years. That is, for 100 million years, we have set up our atomic time. Right? Atomic clock has been set up for 100 million years. Now, what is the SI unit definition of 1 second? SI unit definition of 1 second in atomic time. Now, this is in atomic time. That is why we use atomic clocks as the time taken by cesium-133 atom. Now, first of all, what atom is used in atomic clock? This is a very important question. Cesium-133 is used in ground state. Now, once the cesium oscillates these many times, right, once the oscillation of cesium happens at 9,192,631,770 times, then 1 second is counted. That is 1 second. These many oscillations make up 1 second, and this is of cesium-133. Right? Now, what is the significance of National Atomic Time? Now, earlier we used, not we exactly, as in all over the world, we were using universal time, which is the Greenwich Meridian time. But we realized that the rotation of the Earth changes according to, it keeps changing depending on the speed, upon the distance, about celestial body. So it keeps changing. So we decided to bring in atomic clocks. Now, India has become self-reliant in measuring this range up till nanoseconds, right? What is the accuracy that we have with this? About 2.8 nanoseconds accuracy we have via setting up this. Right? And how does it help? These nanoseconds help in the technological advancement like satellite launches and all. It's very important because we should know the right one. Then both weather forecasting, disaster management. It gives an accuracy of the time that is. Now we have is Rashtriya Kamdhenu Ayog. Now, why has this come to news recently? The reason of it coming to news is because it has launched a national level Gau Vigyan or Cow Science online exam. And this exam is going to be held annually from 2021. That is, every 25th of February, this exam is going to be held on online basis, and a certificate will be given to all of those who attempt the exam and clear the exam. Now, what will this exam have? First of all, it is a first of its kind because we don't have any such exam as of now. Second of all, anyone can take the exam without any fees. That being either a primary student or a secondary student or a college student, anyone can give this exam and they don't have to pay a fee for this exam, right? Now, this is going to be an annual exam, certification is going to be there, and results will also be given directly after the exam. We don't have to wait for too long. Along with it being an exam, there is going to be a study material on cow science which will help preparing for this exam. Right? And what is the purpose? Why has this been launched? It is basically because it is basically to infuse the curiosity that Indians should have, or to infuse the curiosity among students about how cows are important and all of the sciences related to cows, right? And how related to animal husbandry also it is going to be helpful. From livestock perspective also it is going to be helpful. Then we have a Global Economic Prospects Report. Who has prepared this report? What is in this report? First of all, it has been released by World Bank. And according to this report, Indian economy will contract by 9.6% in 2020-21, whereas the recovery rate is going to be 5.4% in 2021-22. Right? This is what the you can say the report has stated as of now for the developments which have taken place. Right now, apart from these developments, the contraction and the recovery rate that has happened, on the world level, if we talk, the world economy expansion is expected by 4% in 2021 as for world we are talking over here, right? Now, there is one word that has been faced, that is, according to World Bank, India is facing its first technical recessionary phase. This is the first technical recessionary phase of India all along. Like at the time when world was facing recession, India did not face recession. During the Great Depression time also, but here India is facing a technical recessionary phase. So first of all, what do you mean by a technically recessionary phase? When for 2 consecutive quarters, negative or contraction in GDP seen, negative GDP or contraction in GDP seen for 2 consecutive quarters, then that phase is known as a technical recessionary phase. Now, how the 2 quarters are there? From April to June, we had a recession or contraction. About 23.9% contraction was there from April to June in India, right? Then in the next quarter, from July to September, we had a contraction of 7.9% from July to September. So these are the 2 consecutive quarters, and in both we had seen a contraction. So this shows that GDP has been negative for 2 consecutive years. That means it is a technical recessionary phase, right? And that is important. Apart from that, the predictions of other organizations which have been done, like for by ADB, we have been shown that by in 2021 we have a contraction of 9%, right? Then we have RBI report also, we have Moody's GDP report also. So you have to be aware about all of these reports as well alongside. Now, a few one-liners. Supreme Court has allowed the Central Vista Project to go ahead. Now, what is Central Vista Project? This is a project which renovates about 86 acres of land in New Delhi, which is around Lutyens Garden. Lutyens Garden is in New Delhi, and it is the area where Rashtrapati Bhavan, Parliament, India Gate, North-South Block, all of these are present. This is the Lutyens Garden. There were certain petitions which were filed in Supreme Court stating that it violates Article 21, but Supreme Court has given it a green signal as renovation is necessary, and because of the safety purpose also, and as a representation of an independent state also, because our parliament has been built by the Britishers, and that was in 1927 or so. It does not match the structure we require, because we have a bicameral legislature and the parliament was set up only for assembly council, legislative council, right? And second of all, safety standards are not there. Third of all, security standards are not there. So we need a new building as for that matter, right? Then Union Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports, Shri Kiran Rijiju, has recently launched Assam Rifles Public School as Khelo India Sports School, and this Assam Rifles Public School is of Shillong, right? So this Shillong school has been approved as a Khelo India sports school. And what happens when a school becomes a Khelo India school? That is, it will have education also, boarding also, competition exposure in sports also, and integration of sports and education is going to be happening. This is the first school of Northeast region to become such a school, right? It is the first time that we will be having such a school in Northeast region. Total, how many schools are there? Khelo India schools as of now are 9. We have a total of 9 schools, out of which 5 are managed by paramilitary forces or by certain defense forces, right? Then Japanese researchers will be launching wooden satellites by 2023, which will help reduce the satellite debris that happens after the work of satellite is done. So when we bring back the satellite, debris is there, which ultimately goes down the sea. So to prevent that debris formation, wooden satellites are going to be formed by Japanese, or by Japan for that matter. Then first all-women team of National Disaster Response Force is going to be created. It has been created in UP region as of now. Then World Bank and Government of India has signed $105 million agreement to improve the inland water transport infrastructure of Kolkata, West Bengal. So we have recently seen ADB has signed an agreement for improving Bengaluru electricity connection, and World Bank has signed for $105 million for water transport, inland water transport infrastructure. Then British government has appointed Alexander Ellis as the new High Commissioner to India. With this, we wind up the segment. It has been wonderful interacting with all of you, and I hope this session has been helpful to all of you. Do subscribe the channel for daily updates and hit the like button, because that's